Sorry, I was talking to my wife.
Oh, it's all good.
Hey, how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Sinister of the Gamer Sector bringing you another interview with a dev. And, if you like the content, hey, be sure to drop us a like. So, with that being said, gonna let our guest introduce herself.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Love from Kaizen Creed, lead developer, producer, and director of Five Force Fighters, a fighting game that has a diverse cast of characters and is really action packed. And we're having a lot of fun being on here and showing off my game. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, first things first. Let's start at the beginning. It's what got you into gaming?
What got me into gaming in general would have to be just like seeing my older brothers playing games all the time. Uh, it's kind of crazy because my parents were really against us playing video games. They
Uh-huh.
used to allow it, then things happened, but it got restricted. So I was always playing games on the low. But yeah, I've always just been into gaming like my whole life, from playing on the DS.
Right.
And I think my first console was the Wii, like legit console. But Game Boy Advance, DS, SNK, all of those, really cool.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, same with me. My older brother, he started gaming before I did, and basically, growing up, I was watching him play. Then, I was old enough to play with him, and of course, when he got older, he got out of it, so I continued on with this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're never too old to play games.
Right.
I I just keep on finding new stuff because games have a lot to offer. From story. I think that's like a big thing for me. Story, an intriguing story, and then like gameplay can also just entice you a lot. So,
Yep.
as as mechanics kind of stay, I think get a little stagnant because creativity kind of it never ends. But a lot of people kind of try to rip other people's ideas sometimes and kind of
Yep.
the reuse the wheel in a sense. But with stories, you also have like that opportunity to show something new, and art styles and all that really keep you intrigued in the gaming experience.
Oh yeah, because I see it all the time, especially in the '90s, since the fighting game boom. You see almost everybody when Street Fighter Two took off, it was like wildfire. Then it didn't take long for other companies. You know what? They wanted a piece of the pie. So you know what? Hey, let's take an idea from this, but kind of switch it around and make it our own thing. A little bit.
Yeah, I think a huge example of that. I know I'm switching away from gaming a little bit, but like comic books, so many
Mm-hmm.
superheroes from Marvel and DC are inspired by each other. Like you have
Yeah.
Superman and you had Captain Marvel from he wasn't even from DC. He was just
Mm-hmm.
from a different comic, and they bought it out, and then
Fawcett.
they
Yeah.
got
Yeah. Fawcett
yeah.
Comics.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, all of that is crazy. So
Yeah, because I give you another prime example. Submariner, Namor, and Aquaman. Like everybody thought Aquaman came first, but no, he came after Submariner.
yeah, yeah,
That's how it is over the years. Hey, wait a minute, this person, says the same powers as that. It's like I said, they copy each other without suing each other.
yeah.
How
Which
they
is
put, yeah.
no,
I was like, yeah,
exactly.
it's I know they have that the same power set, but they kind of finagle the story and their personalities a bit. We can give you the biggest ripoffs, like Deathstroke and Deadpool. It's like,
Yeah, for real. I had a when I saw Deathpool, oh no, Deadpool when I was a kid, I was like, "Yo, is that Spider Man?" I thought he was like
yeah,
a cool version of Spider Man, or like an alternate version. But then I saw him talking, I was like, "Okay, that's enough."
yeah, Merc with, yeah, that's how you earned his name, Merc with a mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, continue on. Other than the favorite console, did you have any favorite games growing up?
I know, like a huge game for me when I was growing up was Minish Cap. I think that's the first like game I finished. Like Legend of Zelda Minish Cap on the Game Boy Advance was the first game I've finished, and so like since then, Zelda has been like a staple franchise for me to always go back on. And what else? Final Fantasy Tactics, like on the Game Boy Advance. Everything goes back to the Game Boy Advance because that was like my first little like handheld console. Got me introduced to a lot of things. Um, but like one of my favorite games that I played in the recent years would be Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
Oh
That
yes.
that ish changed my life. I'm man. I remember just playing it and playing it because those type of games have never appealed to me because I was always like, man, I don't know if I could get into like darker games, like more mature games, even when I got older. But I
Mhm.
just picked that one up and I was like, okay, let me just rock with it. The systems were in it were cool. The lore was dope. It was just like an experience that I've never had before. Obviously, Breath of the Wild is like top up there because that game is just amazing. But yeah, I really love action adventure games. I mess with some fighting games too out here.
Oh yeah, because like I said, like I mentioned before, like in the '90s, like that was. I mean, I was like a fighting game fiend on there. But
Yeah.
yeah, because seeing your project, of course, we could discuss more of that a bit. Like seeing that,
Mhm.
it's like, oh man, it's like I'm glad fighting games are not going away. It's just they comes out at certain times, but still the genre's not dead. Of course, you got big tournaments, things like that. So
Yeah.
which is really cool. Keeping it alive. But oh yeah, like you, I also enjoy action adventure games and beat 'em ups. I mean, usually that fighting games and beat 'em ups, those are usually my top three.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I know. Like, I played. What was it? I love this game. What is it? Streets of Rage, the newest one.
Oh, Street Rage
Been
4.
Yeah, man. I didn't know. Like at first, I didn't know if I liked beat 'em ups, but then I started playing that more and more and more with my bros. It's just like it goes deeper than you actually think it is, and then you actually have to be resourceful, smart about how you're playing, how you're moving across the screen, all that. Actually knowing how to use your moves at the right times. It's a great game, and I was recently able to try out like River City Girls too.
Uh-huh.
I met the director of the game when I was out in LA,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, he's a really cool guy. He actually drew us some fan art for our game because he thought our project was dope. But yeah, he's a really dope person. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, River City Girls is really flashy, really cool. And I was
Mhm.
like, man, I love the way the animations look, the particle
Yes.
effects, everything about that game is, saucy, flashy, what you would want in a beat 'em up. And so I was even thinking about it at some point. I was like, man, I got this, I've made a fighting game or I'm making a fighting game. Beat 'em up would be kind of cool to put my Five Force Fighter characters in and just like
Mhm.
have them do some things.
Right. I mean, yeah, because like you mentioned Streets of Rage, because I mean, I remember playing like the very first one, though. Of course, a few years ago, I did an anniversary covering the first one, and then of course last year I covered Streets of Rage 2. I mean,
Hmm.
the thing I love about the most about that game is like usually when enemies, usually bosses, they like to toss you around. I mean, you can land on your feet instead of like sitting there falling back and taking damage and stuff like that. It's like, hey, this is
Yeah.
really cool. You know how it stands out on its own. Uh,
I feel you on that.
yeah, but speaking of that, yeah, like K's and Flash Forward is like five Flash Forward fighters. Oh, I may have
Five Force
pronounced that
Fighters.
wrong.
It's,
Yes,
it's an alliteration. Five Force Fighters. Yeah.
yeah, five Force fighters. Okay, yeah, because I had to take an L on the pronunciation. But anyways, how did the idea come about?
How the idea come about? Man, it's a confusing little story. I mean, it's more of something that just kind of happened. We were going through the ideas of just, yo, we want to make a game. What type of game should it be? And we had all these different ideas for RPG, different tactical games, platformer. But then we're like, maybe a fighting game would be cool because we could just toss a bunch of the characters that we want in these future games in this game, into a fighting game. So we were like, let's make a fighting game. That's how it started. And then we were like, well, we need a face for this game. Like, we need faces for, Five Force Fighters. We can't just have a fighting game without a story or anything like that. So we thought up 5 characters, which are Coco, Pebbles, Blaine, Palm, and Strelchi. And so we put them in there. And at first, we were just trying to come up with like, what are they doing? What are their powers? And we just gave them elemental abilities because we just thought that was cool. And everything was like, what's cool? What's cool? What's cool? Because we were kids back then. I mean, I was 19 and my brother was what's cool? What is cool? Just throw it in here. And
Mhm.
after a while, we came up with the name because it was like, what are elements, what are powers? And we're like, powers and elements are just basically forces. So we had 5 main characters and we called it Force Fighters. So we're like 5 Force Fighters and we threw it in there and that's how we got the title for the game.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because like I've seen some of the characters now. It's like Coco and Pebbles. Like, okay, it's like somebody who's a serial fan, like the Flintstones. Like,
That was so funny. I just blurted it out one day. I was like, oh, main character's name is Coco. His bro's gonna be Pebbles, and they're gonna be that's just their names. And it's honestly like the first stuff that comes to mind half the time when we're making this game. I mean, we've become more methodical with our thought processes and how to make the game and the lore of it. But before it's just like having fun and just throwing things out there.
okay, care to share what the story's about without giving away too much?
Yeah, I can throw a little bit in there actually. So we have our main characters, Coco and Pebbles. They're half brothers, and that's a little bit of a twist in the story, but it's still okay to know that these two are half brothers, and Coco, Coco and Pebbles live with Coco's mom, and because of certain situations, Pebbles' mom and dad die in an accident, and he ends up living with Coco, and through a lot of financial hardships and just struggles, they end up living in the city called Port Vegas, where the rent is free and everything's pretty much free, but all you have to do is donate your blood and you can live there as long as you want. Um, their mom ends up dying because she, decides to donate twice the amount of blood or three times the amount of blood because she doesn't want Coco and Pebbles to go through that, donation process at such a young age. It's
Right.
such young ages. And so she ends up passing away. And they start seeing the corruption of the city and what's going on and other people being affected by this system that the main villain has constructed, and they're out for revenge at this point, and all the other characters are also involved in this plot that has guided them in a direction where they're all aiming to get Candy Sangre, the main villain, and take him out. So that's pretty much a little synopsis of how the story is going, and you'll figure out how they get their powers along the way.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I was intrigued by the artwork. Like, was there anybody that inspired you? Like any
Yeah.
past mangas and stuff like that?
So, I mean, obviously, I watch a lot of anime, indulge in a lot of cartoons and comic books. I mean, I used to get into comic books a lot more, but mainly like my brother who works on the art of the game, his name's Light. He
Okay.
he was really into Dragon Ball Z. I I'm gonna be
Same
real
here.
with you. I'm the biggest fan of Dragon Ball Z. I like watching it for like maybe nostalgia reasons and seeing the action, but nowadays I'm not really
Yeah, me
into it as
too.
much. But Dragon Ball Z is iconic. We all know that. And he was really drawing it all the time, playing Dragon Ball Z games all the time, like Xenoverse 2 when it came out. And so I think that
Right.
really influenced his art style. And then obviously we have a little bit of cartoon aesthetics put in there. Watching Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Ben 10, all
Right.
of that, inches its way into the DNA of what you're doing. So you can really see a lot of, the Dragon Ball Z art style with the eyebrows, it's
Right.
strong eyebrows expression. So yeah, that's where the inspiration for art style came from.
Yeah, because I kind of noticed, like, up there where the live meters are, it's like I see like their art, like their portrait faces. I see like one that possessed eyes, like evil eyes, like like pupilless and stuff. I was like, they're like like,
They're determined, they're determined. Like when you're in that fight and you're playing the game, you feel as determined as they look, and how they're attacking, you feel as determined as they are. So
okay. Speaking of which, before we go further with the presentation, like, so was basically you and your brother that worked on it, or is it just you had some other people helping you out?
so for basically like when we first started up the game, it's been mostly my brother and I
Yeah.
doing most of the work, animation, programming, social media handling, testing out the game, all that. In recent years, like pretty much last year, we were able to run a Kickstarter successfully, raise over 30K, and expand the team a little bit. And then we got blessed with a grant from Humble Bundle of around 50. So we've been able to reach out to other people to lend a hand with the development of the game, with UI design, with some music, help out with animations to speed the process, fix the proportions with our characters,
Mm.
and make it look a lot crispier than it did when we started. So yeah, we've expanded a little bit, which is really awesome to even say after a year.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Like, you kind of work to your strengths. Like, hey, you're strong in this area, your brother's strong in this area, and then you got some people who who are good at what they do. So you kind of blend that all together, and I think it's like that.
Yeah, just hit them up. You hit them up here and there and just be like, yeah, I mean, I need a little help with this. Right before we had to, I think, go to LA for, what was it? Day of the Devs, we were like, yo, man, we need a little bit of help with these animations. We need one more character. We just want to finish him, get him in there. And he's like, yeah, I can help out with that. And he did a great job for like Strail.
Okay. Yeah. What did you use like to develop it?
Okay, yeah, for we'll start off with the engine. So we're using the Unity engine.
Okay.
It's object-oriented programming, so you're using C Sharp. There's a lot of stuff you can do in there. It handles audio, scripting, animation, all that 3D. If you really want to get into gaming or game development, that's a great engine to hit up. I heard that Godot's also a really great engine to try out. For art and animation, we have CaliPeg for our animation, for our 2D sprites, things like that. And then Photoshop for everything. Photoshop's great.
Right.
You can make a lot of stuff in Photoshop. I might be forgetting some stuff. It's just not off the top of my head, but yeah, we were messing up a lot of different stuff over the years and try to figure out the pipeline for content creation for Fire Force Fighters.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because I've interviewed others in the past. Like, there was a few that use Unity, and there was some others like they use something else, and of course, like all the rest I interviewed use like Unreal engines.
Yeah, I want to see. I've messed with Unreal a little bit. I think I want to try it out for like some of the newer, like some other projects I have in mind. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So okay, so it's kind of cool. So you probably can just probably going to use it in the future.
For sure. I'm gonna cook in that engine and make something. I just want to make some pretty games, and I know Unreal can make some really gorgeous looking projects.
All right. Let's move on to our presentations. Like, there's there like any cutscenes, like little animation scenes, like say like you do a super move or a finishing move, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, not currently. We have something in the plans because everything in Fire Force kind of plays a little differently or in a unique, innovative way than most fighting games. So we're thinking of this system called the Flex system. I don't want to go into it too much because we haven't put it in, and so we don't know if it's ever gonna make it in. But it's a way of handling supers and making them look flashy and cool. We're just trying to add a little bit something special on top to make it, Fire Force. Everything in Fire Force is unique, like even the way we handle weak attacks and stuff like that. But yeah, we have some exciting things coming for presentation wise for attacks and cutscenes and stuff like that. We plan on having a really fleshed out story mode, so you'll see maybe some cutscenes here and there as well.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll just go move on to the meat and potatoes of it. The gameplay is like, are you, other than the story mode, are you gonna plan to put like other modes in there, like time attack or survival?
Yeah, so we're definitely gonna have time attack. We're gonna have survival, combo trials. Um, I don't really care for arcade mode. I don't know. I might get some flack for that, but I just don't really care for it. Time attack, survival, tutorial mode, training, in-depth training mode. So yeah, pretty much ways to teach you how to play the game and have fun with it as well. I just want a big focus on. I want people to focus on story mode and have a good time with that, and feel like it's really intriguing and interactive. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because usually I do like a training mode, like certain fighting games. You just start just to get a feel for certain characters. Like, hey, if like I find like a good starting character, I probably just practice with him or her, and then just jump into story mode. Because like I always like jump into story mode when I'm playing by myself. So that way, because I like to learn everybody's backstory. How some of them interact with each other. Things like that. So
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. But other than that, right now, what do you have it on? Like, do you have it like on Steam or Epic Game Store?
So currently we have our page on Steam, so you can wishlist it on there. I need to look at the Epic Game Store. I haven't thought about that, but I'm working towards getting it on PS4 and PS5 actually, which is exciting. And Xbox and stuff like that. My
Okay,
big thing is to put it on
console.
Switch. Yeah, consoles are in the works. So that's exciting news for us, and I'm really excited to have a game on systems that I played growing up. Like I never thought that I have a game on Nintendo or something like that. You know what I mean? It's exciting.
Right.
It's really crazy to see this come full circle.
Yeah, because I mean, Steam is always great, like to help up and comers and put it out there. Like, yeah, I mean, PC that sounds like great because like because I would love to try this game something in the future whenever it drops, whenever you have it ready. I mean, it's like, hey, it's like I'll be right there. It's like, hey, like, yeah, I interviewed the person that worked on this game, that kind of
No, for
business.
real. I mean, we're working to drop some demos this year, so that's exciting. I'm not even just speaking on one demo. Like I want to drop a few demos, just to keep the interest coming, interest going until the game drops. So be on the lookout for some of our content because it's coming. You'll be able to
Okay,
try
so
it out soon.
basically you can be posting updates like for whenever it's dropping or like updates like how the progress is coming along.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm gonna be keeping people posted on what we're doing because we're really quiet about what we're doing because we just like working. We like just working and getting stuff done on our own
Right.
end, and it's always exciting to drop some information. But I think I want to keep people posted on what we're up to more often now.
Okay. Oh yeah, there's another thing I used to like to call it scenario. Like, all right, let's say like your game takes off, like it's a big success. Like, do you plan on dropping like expansions or DLC just to extend the life of the game?
Yeah, I definitely do if I can because I want to add more characters in it, see how we can expand the gameplay in a sense. We- we're always thinking about different ways to make the gameplay better,
Right.
and in different modes and different. Excuse me, I'm about to. Excuse me, and different ways to make the experience like more fun and crazy.
Okay.
So yeah, that character stages. I want more and more stuff to be put in the Five Force because it's a fun experience, the game itself, and then I think the characters are also really interesting, and I want to keep on coming back to them if I can.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Like in the future, like you plan on like you want to do like a sequel, or you just probably want to move on to something else, like probably another genre, or probably just stick to the fighting game genre, probably with a different title, different story and characters, things like that.
I mean, for me personally, and I think for my bro, we love making Five Force Fighters, and we put a lot of time into it. But
Mm,
there's also as a creative, because I'm not a person who just loves one thing. And
right,
so, as a creative, I just like making stuff, and so I want to work on a different type of game. But Five
right.
Force Fighters is not over with. Like after this game, I know I'm gonna come back to this franchise and this IP, and expand on the lore and expand on the characters because that it's my baby. Gotta just take care of it.
Right.
So,
Exactly. See how it, keep it growing up and, you
yeah,
know, see how it like, evolutionize and things like that. Like,
no, for sure. There's a lot of room for it to grow.
all right, all right. Also, yeah. So do you have a timetable, like, you know, when this game's gonna drop, or just right now it's just on hold until like you probably give a post everything when it's ready when it hits Steam?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have a general idea of when we want to drop it. Sometime in 24, we've like
Okay,
we've kind of realized that this game is gonna need to take some time. Like the animations take a while and things like that. So there's no need. We can't rush ourselves with this project. Just
right.
take our time with it and get it done. But 24 is seeming really likely. We've gotten a lot of progress done with our characters and all of that. So we're feeling confident about this upcoming year. So.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's cool that take your time with it. I mean, I'd rather a game come out right than just rush and be broken and messed up and people
Mhm.
like wasted your money and your time on it. So,
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, there's been a lot of Sonic games that have come out busted, and I don't want to start our track record with a really faulty project.
yeah, and they probably need a lot of band-aids, i.e., patches, just to fix all the issues. When you could have everything should have been all ironed out before you drop it.
Yeah, and you already know some crazy fighting game guru is gonna find some broken mechanics that we didn't even know about. there's always that person.
Right. All right, all right. Well, basically that's all the questions I have. Like, yeah, before we get out of here, basically you want to tell everybody where they can find you at?
Yeah, if you're trying to find Kaizen Creed, our accounts on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube, and TikTok. That's the last one. Are at Kaizen Creed, KAIZENCREED, Kaizen Creed. You can find us there, and if you want to support our Patreon, which we have, you can find us at Kaizen Creed as well. But yeah, you can definitely check out our project and check out Five Force Fighters. It's a really exciting, flashy fighting game. It plays like it completely plays like no other fighting game you've ever tried before. So it's gonna be exciting.
Okay. Hey, how you doing, Guard Corey? Yep. Basically, he has a question for you.
Yeah.
It said I was wondering, would you ever do guest characters?
Yeah, I would definitely do some guest characters. I've thought about a few. I know because I have a lot of people in the indie industry that are homies, and not all of them are going to be guest characters, but there's going to be some. We're going to have a stage with just like all the homies, original IPs on there. So that's going to be really sick.
Okay. Oh yeah, probably my other question. I almost slipped my mind. Like, is there gonna be like little Easter eggs in there?
Like from other people's games and stuff like that,
or like just basically like some from your own experience, like anything your favorite. Just it could be anything.
Yeah, I was talking. So I have these homies that one of them works at Cartoon Network, and I was talking to him, and he was like, "Oh, you should make a Waffle House stage because everybody wants a Waffle House stage." And I was like, "I don't know, man." He's like, "Well, what you can do is just call it the Waffle Shack." And so might mess around and have a Waffle Shack stage.
Right. I mean, that's pretty cool. Throw something in out there, like probably like I said, usually some creators will throw something like from their childhood, or something that they know, like whether it be a place or a certain person they idolize, things like that. So
yeah,
so,
I might throw something in there.
All right, yeah, like appreciate your guard cord with that question. So, all right, but like I said, this concludes another interview with the Dev. I'm your host, Sinister. Yeah, you can definitely find me on my social media. It's Constru19, which you see on the screen on Twitter. Then it's Sinister1019 on Instagram. And see, all right, it says cool. So there was one game demo I saw that you maybe think of the gameplay of Five Force Fighters, but it was.
It was Five Force?
Yeah, it said it's not a fighter though.
Oh. Drop the game and you know it.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, shout out to Guard Core.
Yeah,
with that being all right. Like I said, it's been an honor and pleasure interviewing Love. Because can't wait for Kaizen to drop whenever it's ready. So,
yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. With that being said, there's a Sinister. Check us out. Peace out.